that you are speaking for all Nigerians. I thank you. Normally as you yourself have mentioned, there has been long delay in changing to a path of policies that are sustainable in terms of revenue, in terms of expenditure, and in terms of the industrial policies that will grow the economy. So let us focus, as you have done, on the very short term, where the issue of inflation and related issue of foreign exchange depreciation are the major concern. And let me say that the senator talked also about the market and the fact that you just cannot leave things to the market. While this administration does believe that in most cases, market activity may deliver, in most circumstances, the kind of outcomes that we want. We also understand that there are contexts in which the market will not deliver the desired results. And it's the appreciation of this particular fact that has led to the intervention, the idea of intervening in the marketplace on behalf of the poor and the most vulnerable. That is the underpinning. And yes, whilst distinguished senator from, I think, Jigawa talked about the fact that there is direct payments, he would prefer productive sector intervention. The two are not mutually exclusive. In this short initial time period, as is being done in the agricultural sector, provision of food, as well as, and I will come back to the issue of production of food in Nigeria by Nigerians versus perhaps relying on imports. But in terms of the social protection, that is uppermost at the moment. And while the social protection measures, direct payments during the COVID pandemic worldwide, it was seen that poverty reduced with direct payments properly done, biometrically verified. Two people left them with that choice of what was the most, where the shoe pinched the most, and it led to a reduction in poverty. It is proven empirically worldwide. So that is why that is an issue that is being looked at now in order to make the whole process more effective. And the commitment is to, as soon as possible, to resume the social investment program and the safety net for Nigerians, particularly at this time. And I will use, as you said, having the privilege of being the coordinating minister, I will use that to also say that whilst my colleague, my friend, my brother, the CBN governor is here, I will speak a little bit, given that it's important for us to understand in this period of reform that is imperative for the government to have a clear direction. And in this regard, of course, Central Bank is working to deliver a foreign exchange market that is transparent, has rules and processes, and captures all but perhaps the smallest transaction. Is another type of intervention. You know, it's important at this time that we design interventions that avoid, at this period of reform and vulnerability, market capture, state capture. Those with the power and dominance of markets should not be allowed to use that to profit unnecessarily. And therefore, it's a role of government to put in place structures that avoid that. And you know, in some circumstances, intervention is even more, shall I say, discreet or subtle. The deployment of moral suasion, where persuasion is used to dialogue with major operators and major actors. And you know, it is the government that will decide at any given time which is the best lever to use. So in the short term, the commitment is to face the pains of Nigerians and to do everything that can be done to ease those pains. And of course, on the foreign exchange side, to achieve stability. But I can assure us here that in the medium term, the set of measures that have been taken to improve revenue, starting with oil revenue, which gives both dollars and naira, and is the key in the very short term to having a boost to the economy. To non-oil revenue, domestic revenue, major tax reforms are underway, not to increase the rate of tax, but to improve. Senators, you yourselves admonished us to ensure that the revenue that is due to the Consolidated Revenue Fund is brought in judiciously, efficiently, and on a timely manner. That is being done using technology. Expenditure, we are looking at ensuring that government expenditure is carefully spent. Even Mr. President has reduced his own expenditure. And so, for the medium term, let us be assured that the monetary and the fiscal policies which are being implemented are going to lead to increase in production, increased funding for the government to play its own role. And I would just like to say that just yesterday, Mr. President hosted, amongst other people, the Managing Director Operations of the World Bank. And the message was, she had just come from Turkey, just come from another, because she covers the whole world. And it is the same everywhere. Difficult reforms take time for the benefits to come through. And our duty is to ensure that in the short term we minimize the pains to the poor and the most vulnerable. Thank you.
Respected Chairman and Senators, just to even add further to what the Coordinating Minister brilliantly said, that the Managing Director even said that one of the experiences, particularly from Turkey, how do you ensure that you don't lose some of the stakeholders while the lab of the economic reforms are taking time to have a positive effect? And then equally, because again, this came up yesterday in another meeting, and it has been touched upon here. And from our perspective, particularly from budget and planning to material, there are places today in about maybe 18 states in the country where you can still plant rice for the dry season farming. But including the constituency of the respected chairman of the national planning in 5 local government offices, but where if care is not taken, not for reasons of insecurity, 70% of the planted area might not be planted because of fuel cost. Fuel. And the same thing in the constituency of respected my brother, Senator Edun, and I'm sure in a number of places. So the balancing of the reforms and ensuring that the necessary measures have been implemented urgently in order to ensure that we even support the reform, and I think that's the point made by Senator Edun, and as the commendable act of removing fuel subsidy needs to be supported by measures that support domestic production in order to achieve the full impact and benefit of that. Thank you.
Also follow suit with my elder brothers to thank you profoundly for this meeting, and we're working on this right direction to solve the food security problem of this country. I would like to highlight one very important aspect which I did when I was here defending the budget of 2024. That is to say, we have the Malabo Agreement in which Nigeria is a co-signatory to the Comprehensive African Agricultural Development Program of the African Union, that agricultural provisions in the budget should be 10% of the total budget. And I think when we look at the 2024 budget, we're a far cry away from that target. We have seen other countries that have reached that, Rwanda, for instance, and that's why they are actually progressing in the agricultural field. I would like to just briefly comment on the dry season farming. Yes, we, like I mentioned earlier, within the next 8 to 10 days, we should be able to roll out, and it's still a good window. We are not too late. We are not late, actually, and we should be able to make a significant impact as planned. So the other aspect is also on the issue of food reserve. I think a question was asked, are the grains available? I would say yes. The ones that we're about to release are available. And what measures are we to take to make sure that it is not siphoned or diverted? In the past, the usual thing is either there are institutions like NEMA that are being handed over the grains because they have the poverty index of the country. They know exactly where it is needed, and they have a policy of how they transport and distribute and store before it's being distributed to the needy. So we have started working on that. We have already instructed NEMA to give us their work plan so that we can, as quickly as possible, go ahead and take possession of those stock. As you are well aware, there is a committee under the chairman of the Chief of Staff to the Mr. President that has been working since Tuesday in trying to alleviate the situation at hand. And of course, the 3 of us, in fact, actually 4 of us are all part of that committee, and together with the Minister of Defense and Information. So other programs will be rolled out as soon as possible. I'm not in a position to say some of the programs, but are in the right direction, and I'm very happy that that will, at least in the short and immediate term, take care of some of these situations. The issue of importation, I know a lot of senators have raised concerns, and I think out there also there are concerns. We are also worried about that, try to protect the local industry, the local farmers, but at the same time, we are in an emergency situation. I think it's just like somebody who is thinking you hand him a sword, he will grab it just to come out of the water. So I think this is the situation that we find ourselves now, and it's for an interim situation, and it's not something that will be protracted over a period of time. Like I said, as soon as we start planting for the rice in the dry season, I wouldn't want to say there is hoarding, but there are speculators in the industry, and I'm sure they will start bringing out their grains and putting it into the market. And even when some of these imports start coming, there should be some kind of activity that will lessen and dampen the price of food. Thank you very much.
The pricing of Nigerian Eurobonds, so it's a cheaper form of financing. It is over 5 years, and the repayment is about in addition to the principal, is about $1 billion or so, which is 200 million per year. So the figures that have been bandied, I wonder why people do that. But people that said that we are paying back 4 times the amount we borrowed, it's like saying that somebody who pledges his house for, I don't know, 400 million and borrows 100 million, that he's going to repay 400. That's just the way I can put that scenario. Above all, let me finish by also echoing what the governor of Central Bank said about transparency. It is critical to credibility and to everything that we are doing under the able leadership of Mr. President. So you will see in due course things like these ways, the vexed ways and means, this huge figure. We will, just as the governor of Central Bank has subjected the backlog of 4 payments, he has subjected it to audit. We too will scrutinize that figure that we inherited in terms of ways and means. And likewise, as the senator said, we must ensure that the funds that NMPC earns are clear to all. They are transparently handled and they are fully accounted for. And in that direction, there will also be action taken to ensure the faithfulness in that all-important area of this country's oil revenue. Once again, Joint Chairman, distinguished senators, I thank you.
Chairman, and indeed all the chairmen and distinguished senators, let me join the Coordinating Minister of the Economy in appreciating all of you. Today, despite the eagerness to confront some of the challenges that are facing us, all of you commendably appreciated that the bold choices that were made were necessary to reposition our country. However, choices that are made or not made or are being made occasionally require calibration and other supportive measures in order for the gains to be felt. We feel very encouraged, and I'm sure we'll do more under the leadership of the Coordinating Minister of the Economy to take on board all the suggestions so that we will continue to interrogate what we are doing so as to deliver on the promises that have been made and on the achievement that we believe we have turned the bend and we are on our way to progress. We appreciate the urgency to do some more interventions in order to ensure that the positive effects are felt. There was a direct question on the effect on the 2024 budget. Even when the budget was brought, we appreciated that it's work in progress, just like government itself. When we brought the budget, we brought it with an exchange rate, for example, of 750. In your wisdom, you increased it. And Mr. President, graciously recognizing that democracy is a give and take. Institutions matter. He accepted and signed into law. Today, exchange rates have moved because central bank, rightfully in the exercise of its own mandate, took some measures. And we are studying the effect, and we will calibrate with your support as always and ensure that we respond appropriately. Exchange rate for budget purposes is computed on an average basis, not on a spot basis. We are not where we are, but we hope with all the measures that have been taken, inflation will moderate, and the distortionary effects of those movements will be less. I think Senator Alero and Senator Abiru made the issue of Senator Abiru more particularly, can we use additional revenue to lower debt service? Unfortunately, when exchange rate moves, it also has consequential effect on other prices, particularly fuel prices, electricity subsidy, that we hope this will abate so that it will not even complicate the budget implementation process. But with your support, the country is turning the bend. Measures that have been taken, of which the budget and economic planning has been invited to all meetings by the coordinating Minister of the Economy, both in infrastructure, agriculture, power interventions. I'm sure the results will be seen immediately. Thank you. Thank you.
The Governor of Central Bank has said here about inflation. He has been very clear about the direction and even the quantum that inflation will be down substantially this year. And of course, we know what that means for exchange rate stability and even for the rate itself. So I think those are very clear takeaways that we can take from a monetary side. I'm sure we all thank him, and I'm sure we all wish him the very best in the strategies that are being implemented. And of course, we know it's a team effort. On the fiscal side, it's important to say that there is that collaboration, there is that synergy, and of course, in terms of building up oil revenue as well as non-oil revenue, the direction is clear. The achievements are already there. I won't disclose them, but I assure you the figures are going up substantially as predicted in the budget. May I just respond quickly to the issue of the funding of we call it pre-export financing. It's not just a straight loan, it's pre-export financing. It is very well priced. It is below the pricing of Nigerian Eurobonds. So it's the cheaper form of financing. It is over 5 years, and the repayment is about in addition to the principal, is about $1 billion or so, which is 200 million per year. So the figures that have been bandied, I wonder why people do that. But people that said that we are paying back 4 times the amount we borrowed, it's like saying that somebody who pledges his house for, I don't know, 400 million and borrows 100 million, that is going to repay 400. That's just the way I can put that scenario. Above all, let me finish by also echoing what the Governor of Central Bank said about transparency. It is critical to credibility and to everything that we are doing under the able leadership of Mr. President. So you will see in due course things like these ways, the vexed ways and means, this huge figure. We will, just as the Governor of Central Bank has subjected the backlog of 4 payments, he has subjected it to audit. We too will scrutinize that figure that we inherited in terms of ways and means. And likewise, as the Senator said, we must ensure that the funds that NMPC earns are clear to all. They are transparently handled and they are fully accounted for. And in that direction, there will also be action taken to ensure the faithfulness in that all-important area of this country's oil revenue. Once again, Joint Chairman, distinguished senators, I thank you.
National express our gratitude to the distinguished ladies and gentlemen who attended this session. This is just the beginning. I think going forward, we shall continue to engage ourselves so that we can find some viable solutions to the challenges that face this nation. Thank you once again, and I wish everyone fruitful journey to your offices and other respective destinations. I know the Minister of Agriculture wants to travel to Kano. I wish you a very safe flight and journey masses. Thank you and God bless.
Done.